Hey, Rob, after the draft, you mentioned, an interest in continuing to improve the forwards. With the crop that was available, what was it that led you to zone in on Phil?
I think obviously positional, solidifying the middle. With with Kopitar being here and being in the situation he is and the minutes he plays and all over the ice, to be able to partner that as a 1-2 punch down the middle with the younger centerman that we have coming through, through the next few years, we really feel we're solidified the middle of the ice there.
Is this twofold in a way where is this a chance to maybe spread the wealth on some of those difficult minutes that Kopi's played while also maybe seeing a player who has some offensive ability as well in the middle six?
Yeah, no, I just think it makes us better. That was the whole idea, was to get better this summer. We want to build through the middle of the defense and continue to get better in different positions of need that we feel. And we just thought this was the right step for the organization.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Next up is John Hoven.
Rob, on the defensive side of things, all this talk about wanting to add a young, dynamic, LD1, you picked up a little bit of, I guess, a bridge deal that'll help you buy some time until you can get that. Is that probably the best way to lay it up?
Yes, if you look, Mikey Anderson and Toby Bjornfoot, along with Ole Mata last year, two real young defensemen coming in and playing big minutes, playing alongside Drew, playing against tough competition and everything. I think in Alex Edler, we get a very solid veteran, capable of playing minutes, plays a heavier style. And has played against top lines throughout his career. So really stabilize that left side in the amount of minutes and the quality of opponents he can play against.
And then with some of the younger kids, talk about, this maybe gives you some insurance against the development curve for a Velarde or for a Byfield and whatnot. But when you pencil in Deneau at the 2C, how does that lay up for those two guys fighting for maybe a 3C or maybe even with QB going back to the American League?
Yeah, and I think you got an abundance of young players that really only had a half a year in the American League last year. Like it takes time, and you don't want to put them in a position where they're not prepared. We want to see them when they do come in the lineup, they're going to help us win. So this allows us to do that in that type of position. The other thing is, with adding Arvidsson in the summer and now Deneau and Edler on the back end, we didn't dip into the prospect pool per se. We have that. We can filter and we can project over the next few years how many and where they're going to project in our lineup.
Thanks, Rob.
Next up is Dennis Bernstein.
Rob, continuing on Gabe, do you still see him as a center, or is there a possibility he can now move to right wing?
Well, when we look at it, especially when we draft so many centermen over the years, but any team I've been involved in, I've seen centermen go to the wings. I rarely see a winger go to the center.
Right.
So there is no reason any of these centermen can't go to the wing and find the right position. So, that's kind of our philosophy we've had here for the last few years. Listen, we're going to put the best players in the lineup. We'll filter them in the positions that's most suitable for them.
Phil isn't a big goal scorer. He only scored 6 combined between playoffs and regular season. You expect more from him offensively from a goal scoring standpoint next season, Rob?
I would say points. I think you look at the even strength points generated in from him and how he generates those points. That's kind of what we looked at there. The combination, it's well talked about of being able to shut down top lines or top centermen on other teams, and just the ability to roll with a Kopitar and then a Deneau, and then whatever we pencil in 3 and 4C, the ability to match with other teams was important also.
Rob, I know you want to win. You signed a 28-year-old center for 6 years. You signed a 35-year-old defenseman. Is there a mandate from ownership to make the postseason this season?
No, that's our own mandate. Listen, we haven't made it the last few years, and we want to get better, and we want to push, and we want to have a legitimate chance at getting in there. And these were a couple steps in the direction to go that way.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
Next up is Lisa Dillman.
Yeah, Rob, how hard was it? You referenced this a minute ago, not to dip into the prospect pool or future draft picks in order to make a deal to make your team better.
I don't know if it's difficult. You look at all different scenarios and you got to be open, but to be able to get better. And, the situations that we were in, we had to expand a draft picks to get Arvidsson. We went into the free agent market to fill a couple other needs on our team. So we'll explore that. But the same token, we get time to watch these prospects. Like I said, I don't think it was a full American League season. We'll be able to watch them grow, but we'll also see our team and understand the needs as we go forward.
And in regards to Edler's game, how have you sort of seen it evolve as he's gotten older and along the way?
Yeah, no, he's just, like I said, a real solid defenseman. I mean, first and foremost, probably a quality teammate. I think anything we've heard since it's come out that we agreed to terms has all been about the quality, the type of teammate, the type of professional you're going to get every day. But like I said, he played big minutes in Vancouver against tough competition. He's always been very steady, very reliable, and will give us that. Especially, like I said, when you have a combination of Mikey and Toby, relatively young age, playing much above their age, you can surround them with good veterans like Oli and now with Alex. It definitely helps.
Since you're talking to us here, we pretty much know what the deal is for the day, but are you done, or do you see any smaller strategic minor moves the next little while here?
Maybe minor stuff. I obviously with limited space and contract numbers and players and things, we're getting close to where the team is that we expect to put on the ice come training camp.
Great, thank you.
Next up is Andrew Knoll.
Yeah, hi, Rob. Just kind of piggybacking off that. I mean, I realize maybe free agency, you guys have checked all the boxes, had a great day, but with the level of trade activity and negotiation that we've seen, are you guys going to continue to be in those conversations, or do you feel pretty firm with the group that you have now?
It's hard to say. I mean, things will come across or pop up that you have to explore and look. I don't think it's any different than any other time. If I said, is there a pressing need that we have to fill right now? Probably not. I think we're comfortable with the group that we feel we can ice come training camp.
And then I wanted to ask you on Anthony CU. It seems like that was maybe something you were waiting to see what the rest of the UFA market looked like, or how did that kind of evolve that you guys were able to close the deal today as well?
Yeah, no, not necessarily. I think the timing of the qualifying offer had to be put in, but we had also had a deal in place, and that will be executed later on here. But I think what we had to do was get past that qualifying offer time. So that's why we made the qualifying offer, understanding that we had agreed to a deal, going forward in that situation.
Thank you.
Next up is Jesse Cohen.
Hey, Rob. Dano talked about you guys being real specific in your sense of why you wanted him and what role he might wind up playing. Last season when you signed Mata, there was very specific talk of him playing with Drew Doughty. I'm curious, with Edler and Dano and even Arvidsson, do you guys have that same specific sense of where you want them to play, or was this just about making the roster better overall?
Making the roster better. I think when you talk about the forwards and Arvidsson and Dano, obviously top six forwards will unfold, different combinations and things as Todd sees fit when we go forward. And I think Alex, can play the minutes required of a top four defenseman and the situations required of that. So how we distribute it, that'll be, taken by Todd. But I think what we were doing was improving our team in all those situations.
Awesome. Thank you.
Next up is Ted Sobel.
Hey, Rob. Philip really praised you and Luke and Todd about selling the idea of coming to the Kings. Can you get more specific on exactly some of those sales pitches and how you sold him on that this is the place he should be?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's a sales pitch. We went in and we explained exactly what our team was going to look like this year, next year, and the year after. and the holes that we felt we need to fill. We went over our prospects. We went over the ones we felt can get into our lineup. When can they push to get into our lineup? And what it would do to solidify the middle of the ice, and basically let it go. I mean, we've sat here and we've done this for a number of years, but the different part here is we're actually now showing him how we're going to get better, and when we're going to when and how we want to be competitive and move forward. So, it was just as exciting for us to be in that, because it's a much different approach than the last 2 years when we had to pull really, really top end players out of our lineup.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
And one more here. We'll go back to John Hoven.
Hey, Rob, I know that coming out of the exit meetings following the season, there was all this talk about Drew wanted to improve the team and Kopi, and you addressed that at the time. I'm just curious, have you connected with some of those vet players today and how they're reacting to these additions?
Just by text, via text. Actually, Kopi was here working out, so I talked to him and Drew via text. He's back home right now. But those conversations started right after the season with those two guys. I sat down and said, this is how we want to get better. Okay, I get you want it. I want to get better. You guys want to get better. We all do as an organization. But I wanted to show them what we wanted to do. I said, we need to fill a couple holes up front. We got to solidify the back end, and went over the outcome and how we wanted to do it. So, we all been on the same page there, and now it's time to actually move forward. We've got that in place now. Now we got to put that team on the ice to be competitive.